Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to show you a watercolor book that is great if you are a beginner or if you're just transitioning. Maybe you're going from, portraits to florals, or you just want to try different techniques. I really enjoy books over videos because I can take these on the go. I don't have to sit there and watch a video on my phone. And I also tend to learn better from books, especially when they have it laid out step by step. This is called Wildflower Watercolor. A friend of mine had shown me it. I had had this on my wish list for a while, but I was like, there was no flip throughs online, so I just didn't know what I was getting into. So I was very excited when she started to show me some of the paintings she was doing, and I thought, hey, this could be pretty cool. So I'll leave a link in the description below. But this is by Seshma Hedge. I think that's how you say it. I probably butchered that. So when it gets to the more tutorial stages, I'm going to flip through those quicker, simply because maybe I'll show you one example longer, but these are meant to stay with a book, and so I don't want to be giving away all of her goods for free. But let's get going here. Okay, so we have the introduction and the contents. She dedicated this to her mother, which I thought is really pretty and sweet. So as you can see, we have quite a bit that it goes over: supplies, techniques, brush strokes, and then we have sections: wild herbs, wild flowers, and then making compositions. So she has an introduction. She talks about supplies, and what's nice is she gets into watercolor paper, because a lot of people, when they start out with watercolor, think that the paint brand or even the brush matters the most, when in fact it is the paper that will determine a lot. You could use a really crappy brush on nice paper and get results, but if you use a really nice brush on crappy paper, not gonna happen. So something to keep in mind. For her tutorials in here, she tells you which colors to get. You don't have to use any specific brand. You don't even have to use these colors. You can change up the colors from her tutorials, but if you want to follow along, you'll just want something similar, and I'm sure you'll have a color or two that are close enough. Then she talks about the types of brushes you will need. So in this one, you'll need a small, medium, and big round brush. She gives you her suggestions for sizes. Just remember, a size 10 in one brand can definitely vary from another brand. And she also uses filberts. Then she talks about palettes, how you'll need, cloth or paper towels, watercolor pencils, which are always nice, your water containers. Usually you want one for clean, one for dirty, or just be me and use a paint cup and call it a day. Not even care if your water's mud. Then we get on to basic techniques. She talks about the tones of color, water to paint ratio, talks about color mixing, which is great, and she even has a little mixing exercise. Color mixing is incredibly important because, look, for example, here, mixing green, all the different greens. Mixing white, she talks about white, because obviously you really don't need white in your palette. You just need to wash out your color. I know on hers, she washed out, where is it? I swear it's a brown that she washed out. I usually wash out my Payne's Gray, personally, to color white, or to paint white. But she also has wet on wet, wet on dry. I usually do wet on dry, and that's why I really like this book, because her tutorials are wet on dry, and I'm like, hey, that's totally how I paint. She talks about lifting, phases of the flower, interpreting what you see in nature so that you can paint it, which is great. And then she has this whole little guide here. Like I said, I don't want to give away too much of the goods, but she even talks about the movement, the colors, how to understand the shapes. Then we get into the brush stroke practice, which is good. There's quite a few books out there on brush strokes. She even has this whole section on leaves, and this is one I was going to show you as more of a longer example. So she has you practice different types of leaves with different brushes. She's using a quill on that one, but I do find it kind of interesting. And the little techniques, see, step 1, 2, 3. So she shows you how to build it all up, which is really nice. And then here we are on more leaves, like these little thin ruffled leaves. Could also use it for feathers, by the way. The dandelion leaf, how to do it. You could either start with a watercolor pencil if you need it, or just go from the get-go, but I think that's pretty cool how she's like going step by step on everything, you know, petals and whatnot. Now, I'm going to kind of, for the rest of this book, do more of a quick flip so you can see some of the things. So like we have compositions. You will have composition exercises and building like whole things of flowers rather than just the single flower. Like we have a larkspur one here. Look at that. Beautiful. And she tells you on all of her tutorials, she tells you what it is you're painting, a little bit about it, the colors you need, and then of course you're going to be mixing those because you see here, quinacridone rose. That's not in there until it's mixed in there. And the brushes you'll need. So everything is really nice. Like it starts out with everything you need and goes step by step. You see, step by step. But I just don't want to show the tutorials because you need to buy the book if you want the tutorials. But I mean, these are the types of things you're going to be painting. So I'm just trying to give you an idea by showing you some of these. I mean, this is just so cool. Wild violet. But yeah, so I mean, she goes really in depth and just shows you everything you need to know. And doing loose florals too. That's what I love. I love loose florals. I love painting wet on dry, which is often rare because most people who do wet on dry, most people who do loose florals don't do wet on dry, but that's how I like to roll. Now at the back, there is an about the author page and then an index. So if there's a specific flower you're curious if she shows you, you can actually look. So say I wanted to know if daffodils are in here. Oh look, page 16. So that's nice that she has that in there. And then on the back, it just has, you know, a nice little summary and then some reviews. But this book is worth every penny. I highly recommend it. The tutorials are so easy. She breaks it down step by step, right down to mixing, telling you what to do. And so if you're a beginner, this would be great. But also, if you've been painting a while, you can help fine-tune your technique or change up a few things you don't like. So hopefully you guys enjoyed watching this little review. Again, like I said, I don't want to show the tutorial simply because that's what the book is for. But if you have this, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to know what you think about it, if you've used it, if you've learned anything. I will be doing some out of this, and maybe I'll do a sketchbook tour and point them out as I go through them later. But thank you everyone for hanging out with me today, and until next time, take care. Bye now.